Assalomu alaykum Sharq Turkistonlik aziz qarindoshlar. Dunyo Uyghur qurultiyi to'rt televiziyasining naqmadan programmasiga xush keldinglar. Aziz qarindoshlar, men hozir sizlarga Londondiki xitay elchixanasininki oldida naqmadandan bu programmani taqdim qilyapman. Men operatorga hammalarni yurakdan salomlayman. Aziz qarindoshlar, mana bu kaynimdikisi Xitoyninki Londondiki bosh elchixanasi binosi. Aziz qarindoshlar, bugun Sharq Turkiston xalqi uchun 9 dekabr tarixiy bir kun. Unutulmaz bir gün oldu. Yani bugün yani Dünya Uyghur Qurultayı'nınki teşebbüsü bilen ve arzi bilen 2020 yılı 9. ayda kurulgan Uyghur Sot Kollegiyası bu jarayondan burun bu Londondiki Church Sarayı'da Uyghur Sot Kollegiyası'nınki hüküm ilan kılmış yığını çağırgan ve Sot'ninki baş soyçusu Jeffrey Nice efendim Xitayninki Sharq Turkistonda Uyg'urlarni asos qilgan yerlik xalq partiya yurgizayotgan qilmishlarininki bu yerda rasmiy yo'sinda irqiy qirg'inchilik va insoniyat qarshi jinoyat ekanligini xalqaro qonun asoslar, qonuniy moddalar va qonun tartib bo'yicha rasmiy dalillab chiqqanligini hukm qilgan va bu hukmni butun dunyoga e'lon qilgan edi aziz qarindoshlar. Va bugun bu munosabat bilan mana kaynimda aziz qarindoshlar hem Dünya Uyghur Qurultayı London elchixanasidan hem Angliya Uyghur birlashmasidan va Angliyadagi Uyg'urlarni qo'llayotgan kishilik huquq tashkilotininki birlikda uyushtirishi bilan bugun shu Uyg'ur sud kollegiyasininki hukmininki, ya'ni Xitoyni irqiy qirg'inchilik munosabati bilan bu yerda Xitoy elchixonasi oldida bir norozilik namoyishi o'tkazilyapti. Aziz qarindoshlar, kechda bu namoyish kech London vaqti 18da. Mana hozir boshlangan namoyishlar aziz qarindoshlar. Bugünkü bu namayişdeki maqsadim baydab o'tdim. Bu namayish jarayonida bizningki bu lager şahitlerimizden Erbaqt efendim, bu sotda guvohlik bergan Erbaqt efendim, bu yerda bütün shu sotda arz bergan arzdorlar vakolatan Uyg'ur sot kollegiyasiga arz bergan arzdorlar vakolatan bugun Uyg'ur sot kollegiyasininki e'lon qilgan hukmnomasini bu yerda Xitoy elchixonasiga topshirdi. Şunun için bu namayish o'tkazildi ve namayishning asosiy temisi Uyg'ur irqiy qirg'inchiligi to'xtatılsın. Yani Xitoy Uyg'ur irqiy qirg'inchiligini to'xtat degan mazmunda aziz qarindoshlar, mana biz namoyish maydonini tanladik. Yerda Angliya Uyg'ur jamiyatining a'zolari bor, Dunyo Uyghur Qurultayı to'lqinaysa efendim var yerda xalqaro kishilik huquq tashkilotining mas'ullari bor aziz qarindoshlar va lag'ir shohidlarimiz bor. Hürmetli Tolkunaysa efendimle bir sorayım. Tolkunaysa efendim bu namayish haqida bir qisqacha sizdan bir tushuncha olsak, ma'lumot olsak.
Bugün Uyghur xalqi uchun, Sharq Turkiston xalqi uchun tarixiy bir kun. Bugün Uyghur qirg'inchiligi xalqaro mustaqil Uyghur sud tarafidan rasmiy irqiy qirg'inchilikda tanilgan bir kun. Bu suddan keyin bir qism Uyg'urlar, bir qism chet elliklar va bir qism Uyg'ur do'stlari Xitoy elchixonasining Londondiki markaziga kelib, Xitoy elchixonasining oldida sen bir cinayetçi, bu irqiy qirg'inchilikni to'xtatishing kerak. Bunun hisoboti so'rildi dunyoda her qanday bir jinoyat yani so'roqsiz qolgan emas. Shuningga bu kunlar az qoldi. Xitoy hukumati buning javobini bersan degan mesajni berish uchun sudning hukmnomasini ko'tarib, yoki bir bölüm insonlarimiz bilan bu yerga kelib bu namoyishni qilyapmiz.
Aziz qarindoshlar, so'ldinglar?
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
Hozir namoyishni boshida birozdan keyin yana ba'zi qarindoshlarimiz bilan suhbat va ular o'tkazimiz tasvirotmalimiz namoyish rasmiy boshlandi.
Is committing genocide against the Uyghur community and other Turkic groups. So this evening we want to have quite a kind of like commemorative, gentle event to process and to kind of mourn, but also feel emboldened by the fact that the Uyghur crisis has now been thrust onto a world stage as a result of today's verdict. And we think it's fitting to start off this evening's events by sending Gerbakit Otabai with Dilnaz and Dolkun and Maida to take the tribunal's verdict over to the Chinese embassy and attempt to deliver it. So they're going to go over and do that now. Thank you.
Aziz qarindoshlar, bizning lager şahidimiz, Qozoq lager şahidimiz Erbaqit efendim bütün mushu Uyg'ur sotiga arz sungan, Xitoyning ustidan arz sungan arzdorlarga vakolatan bugun Uyg'ur sot kollegiyasiniki hukmnomasini Xitoy elchixonasiga topshirmoqchi. Bizmi barayli lager şahidi Erbaqit efendim bugungi Uyg'ur sot kollegiyasiniki hukmnomasini Xitoy elchixonasiga topshirish uchun hozir mana keldi. Xitoy elchixonasining oldiga Xitoy elchisi buni topshirib olamdi, olmamdi, buni bilmaymiz.
Like to give some appeal to the Chinese embassy. Could you told you cannot take a shot? No worries. You don't take this one. If you want to give the message, post it. Put it post. Where is the post? Can you call someone and then just keep it and then be back? We're not allowed to do that. No. Just you call them.
You cannot call them, sir.
Why? Could you please help us to call them? Someone is coming out, just we give him and then... No? Sorry?
Can we just knock the door?
No, I can't. What do you mean otherwise?
We need to rent this.
Yeah, please stand up because I'm calling them. I will give you the number.
Hürmetli qarindoshlar, Xitoy elchisi bu sotning hukmnomasini topshirilishni rad qildi. Bu Xitoy elchixonasi qo'llayotgan Angliya soqchilarimi
Do you have a post box here? Post we can cut off and stick up. How we can put this? Yeah. Tomorrow morning you go to the post and post it. No.
We want a handle of it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, we're not allowed to take any.
Is there post box?
Is there post box?
No, they don't have it.
Around the corner?
Where?
No, I'm just asking.
No.
Sorry.
I can't do that, sir.
Can you just push
Can
it
you
in
put this
for us?
here?
I'm sorry. Can't do that, sir.
This
I'm
government
sorry,
is
I
conducting
can't do that.
genocide.
I'm not allowed to do that. Listen,
Can
I'm
you
security,
just
right?
be human and just shut that underneath the door?
No, can't do that. For me, I can't
Can
do
we
that.
put it inside?
I can't.
Can we? Okay, you don't, but we can.
No, what do you mean you?
Yes.
No, you can't. As long as I'm here, you can't do that, sir.
Can you doorbell for us?
No, I'm not allowed to do that.
Can you keep it and you give tomorrow morning?
How would post going to help?
Okay, please tell us, is there some, should be, is the embassy should have a post box?
So you have been instructed by the embassy not take any news from
Can you see any boxes?
Something like that.
So did you just say that you were instructed not to take anything from the protest?
That's right.
Why is that? Why are they so afraid of just a few pages of paper here? Did you ask them why?
Huh? dağların aksine. Eğer poşt sandıkları yok mu? Karapatında abiyat ayet davet etti poşt sandık var. Çünkü siz bizim Türk var. Şöyle karapatında eğer poşt sandıkları olsa şey koyup açmış binanın hem şuranın iki.
Hürmet Lüzor köşkler biz hazır Londondiki xitay elchixanasining oldida bu programı təqdim qilyapmiz. Uni ko'rdinglar. Bu odam to'plangan yer, Uyg'ur namoyishlar to'plangan yer Londondiki xitay elchixanasining oldida. Bugun Uyg'ur sud kollegiyasi Xitoyninki Uyg'urlarga yurgizayotgan qilmishlariningki hem irqiy qirg'inchilik hem insoniyat qarshi jinoyat ekanligini qonuniy dalil isbotlab chiqqanligini hukm qilgan va bu hukmnomani e'lon qilgan edi va bugun bu munosabatdan bu yerda bir namoyish, norozilik namoyishi o'tkazildi. Uyg'ur irqiy qirg'inchilik to'xtatilsin deyilgan mazmunda va shu sudning hukmnomasini topshirib berish marosimi bo'lmoqchi bu yerda va lager shohidlarimizdan qozoq lager shohidlarimizdan Irbaqit efendim sudning hukmnomasini topshirib berish uchun Dünya Uyghur Qurultayı'ningki reis Dolqun Aysa boshchiligidagi qurultay rahbarlari bu yerga keldi, ammo bu yerda elchixona ishini rad qildi va bu hukmnomani topshirish ishini rad qildi. Bu yerda qisqacha bir norozilik protesto bo'ldi. Hatto bu yerda xalq sandig'iga tashlab qo'yish rad qildi bu yerda. Aziz qarindoshlar, bundan xabaringlar bo'lsin. Bugün Şarkı Türkistan halkı için, Uyghur halkı için tarihi bir gün, tarihi ehemmiyetli ega unutulmaz bir gün. Şunun için Dünya Uyghur Qurultayı 9 dekabr günü yani bugünne Uyghur irqiy qirg'inchiligini xotirlash kuni deb e'lon qildi dunyoga va bundan keyin butun mujohid Uyg'urlar bu 9 dekabrni Uyg'ur irqiy qirg'inchiligi xotir kuni sifatida bu kunni xotirlaydi aziz qarindoshlar. Bu munosabatdan o'tkazilgan bir namayish devam qilyapti. Balkim bu sudning hukmnomasi Xitoy elchixanasi qabul qilish shart qilgan bu hukmnoma balkim Xitoyniki elchixanasidan xat sandig'iga qo'yilishi mumkin va yoki pochta orqali Xitoy elchixanasiga yo'llanishi mumkin. Birozdan keyin albatta bu haqda sizlarga yana tafsiliy ma'lumot berishimiz.
Çırakları yürüttürdük o otobüde. Başat doğrusu doktaslı. Benim çocuklar neye gel? Ha? Başat doğrusu doktaslı. Başat doğrusu
İlyas mı?
İlyas. Aslı. Aşı bir saat.
Ever since then, more than 3 years. And that's more than a month.
Oh, we're gonna start it.
Reyma Hanım biraz bir minut bir şey. Hürmetli izleyiciler, hammalarga tanıştık. Bizniki pidakar, Angliyadagi pidakar siyasi faoliyatchilarimizdan, san'atkorlarimizdan, vatanparvar san'atkorlarimizdan Reyma Hanım'la Emmalar Tunis'te bugün
Alright, everyone.
Muşu bugün Uygurlar
We're gonna put the Uyghur anthem, so it would be great if you could sing along, okay?
Töpsi, Krişçanlık, fidakarlığına ait zor oldu. Muşu Uygur Sotkalı ismiki ta ki hazırlıcı olan bütün faaliyetleri tercümanlığını kılıp, bütün şahitlerlik tercümanlığını kılıp bugünkü neticeden geliştikten sonra oldu. Hazır Sıkalı Marşı'nı online
Thank you so much. Now, Dolphin Isa is going to talk as the president of World Uyghur Congress.
Dear friend, I want to thank you for all being here today. Today is historic day. This morning, as you all aware, Uyghur Tribunal has ruled that crime being perpetrated by the Chinese government against the Uyghur and the other Turkish people in East Turkestan met the definition of the genocide under UN Genocide Convention. The judgment came at the time when the international community has been building pressure on the Chinese government over its abuse of the Uyghur and the other Turkish people, but has been relocated to act meaningful. We know that the decision is non-binding. However, this has high significance and will be extremely important for the state to adopt global policy response addressing and stopping Uyghur genocide. The process of the tribunal was extremely carefully, and the decisions that came out of it will have great weight. For our community today, feel like we have been given justice and most importantly a platform where our voices were truly heard and our suffering not taken lightly. But this is only beginning in our pursuit of justice and accountability. the Uyghur Tribunal give us a salt base on which we will build on. Genocide verdict is not to be taken lightly. It is therefore up to state as a members to United Nations, especially party state to the UN Genocide Convention, to use their resource and the power to act on this decision. Enough is enough. We demand justice and accountability now. There is no more excuse for the global community and state to stay silent to this genocide. It is for this reason that we announced today, December 9, each year will be highlighted as the International Day of Commemoration of the victim of the Uyghur genocide. Thank you for attention.
Hi everyone, my name is Myra. I'm of Uyghur community in the UK. So today I will share a few sections of the tribunal's verdict to honor the importance of the judgment for our community and to pay homage to the survivors whose brave testimony was key to the panel reaching this verdict. I hope the world will listen to the words of the judgment in a way they have not listened to us. They haven't listened to us. The People's Republic of China has effected and deliberate, systematic and concerted policy with the objectives of so-called optimizing of the population of Xinjiang by means of a long-term reduction of Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities population through limiting and reducing Uyghurs' birth. As such, Jeffrey Nice added, the tribunal is satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that the PRC, by the imposition of measures to prevent birth intended to destroy a significant part of Uyghurs in Xinjiang, as such has committed genocide. The tribunal also ruled that crimes against humanity are being committed in the Uyghur region. These include forcible transfer, imprisonment, torture, rape, and forced sterilization, persecution, and other humane acts. The tribunal was satisfied that the crimes against humanity occurred as a direct result of policies, language, and speeches promoted by President Xi and others, and furthermore, these policies could not have happened in a country with such rigid hierarchies as the PRC, without implicit and explicit authority from the very top. The tribunal then said, if there is evidence of gross human rights abuses, they revealed not just the suffering of the victims by thousands of people who planned to bring that operation into force. The panel also called out the lack of cooperation from international governments, where there is a real and pressing public interest in the truth of allegations as serious as those being dealt with by the tribunal. It's unfortunate that the tribunal has not been assisted in the seeking of that truth. They later added, governments have no courage to do such things as alleged genocide, neither does the United Nations, where a powerful state is involved. By naming these atrocities for what they are, genocide, the tribunal's verdict has offered our community hope that the world will start to pay attention to the suffering of my people. Thank you.
Rahima Mahmoud, the Director of Stop Uyghur Genocide and the UK Director of the World Uyghur Congress, will now say a few words introducing Dilnas for our commemorative name reading service.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. And it has been a very emotional emotional day today and has been an incredibly difficult one for our community. Whilst there is a sense of relief that what the Chinese regime is doing to our people has been recognized in its entirety by an impartial tribunal, the reality of our plight is also overwhelming. Genocide is terrifying, devastating crime. One that for us, that is not a memory, but a living nightmare. So today we will mourn for those lost, those disappeared and missing. Our loved ones, family members, brothers and sisters. But we also stand here emboldened. The genocide of our people has today been thrust onto the global stage. With this momentous judgment, there are now thousands of pages of evidence, numerous live recordings of our Uyghur brothers and sisters sharing their stories from the camps. Tomorrow and each day after that, we will continue our fight with this judgment, propelling us forward. But this evening, we will take some time to commemorate those the Chinese authorities have taken from us. So our young activist, Dilnaz Kerim, who is going to will read out the names and brief details of 48 of our fellow Uyghurs. 36 of them are those that we know have died in custody. Their details have been taken from the Xinjiang Victims Database. The final 12 are the names of family members of those here in the UK, all of whom have been sentenced by the Chinese authorities. Thank you.
So I would like to start off by reading the names of innocent people who were killed. Can you hear me now? Great. Khaliola Tursun, Kazakh, 72 years old, retired cadre and legal consultant. He most likely died in prison in December 2020. Nurqazi Malik, Kazakh, 51 to 52 years old, he was imam. He most likely died in a detention camp November 2018. Mohammed Saleh, Uyghur, 84 to 85 years old, religious scholar. He was the first religious scholar to have translated the Quran into Uyghur language in 1986. He died in detention in January or February 2018. Ablet Barat, Uyghur, 87 to 88 years old, religious scholar. He died in detention in late 2017 or early 2018. Mahmoud Jan Rahman, Uyghur, 49 years old, wealthy businessman. He died in detention prior to March 2019. Bekri Ibrahim, Uyghur Kazakh, 75 years old. He died in detention prior to October 2018. Sajidegül Tumur, Uyghur, 45 years old. She died in an accident whilst undertaking forced labor in cotton plant. Yasincan Tohte, Uyghur, 41 years old, driver. He died in detention in February 2018. Ayhan Mehmet, Uyghur, 78 years old. She died in a detention center before June 2018. Abdulsalam Mehmet, Uyghur, age unknown, approximately between 20 to 40 years old, university student. He died in police custody in 2017. Rasul Aziz, Uyghur, 73 years old, village head. He died in detention in May 2018. Risalet Shamshi, Uyghur, 70 years old. He died in detention center detention camp in May 2018. Rahmanqul Qalimat, Kazakh, 37 years old, assistant imam. He died after police interrogation in October 2017. Gopur Hafiz, Uyghur, 63 years old, retired driver and business owner. He died in detention in November 2018. Abdulkhalil Hashim, Uyghur, 58 years old, teacher and businessman. He died in prison hospital in May 2021. Asan Lafe, Kazakh, 71 years old, teacher. He died in detention in May 2019. Arzigul Qadir, Uyghur, 69 years old, retired, worked at Kucha County Bureau at Food and Beverages. She died in a shortly after detention before late 2017. Mirzahid Kerimi, Uyghur, 81 to 82 years old, retired writer and editor. He died in prison or in a hospital after detention in early January 2021. Imam Hussein Mohammed, Uyghur, over 55, retired. Worked at Health Inspection Committee. He died in detention camp in November 2018. Zumakelde Akay, Kazakh, 47 years old. He died in a detention camp in early March 2018. Mutallib Nur Mehmet, Uyghur, 40 years old, business owner. He died in a hospital shortly after having been released from the detention in second half of 2018 or in the course of 2019. Waris Abu Bakri, Uyghur, 54 years old, writer and film producer. He died of a heart attack in November 2019, 1 week after having been released from detention camp. Abdulkarim Abdwali, Uyghur, 62 years old, religious leader. He died in prison in 2017. Nur Muhammad Tokhte, Uyghur, 70 years old, teacher, author, and CCP secretary of Khotan region. He died 2 months after his release from detention in May 2019. Yaqub Roze, Uyghur, 42 to 48 years old. He died in hospital after having been held in a detention camp in March 2019. Aytursun Eli, Uyghur, 34, tour guide. She died in police custody in June 2018. Abdul Hakim Mohammed Qurban, Uyghur, 49 years old, religious scholar and religious leader. He died in prison in June 2019. Abdulmit Abdullah, Uyghur, plus 78 years old, religious and scientific scholar, imam. He died in a detention camp after April 2017. The exact time is unclear. Ukhtiyar Satubaldi, Kazakh, 34 years old. He died in hospital where he had taken from detention camp in early 2018. Silahat Baykulzar, Kazakh, 48 years old. She died at home in March 2019, shortly after having been released from detention camp due to illness. Abdullah Abbas, Tatar, plus 55 years old, university professor. In April 2020, it was reported that he had died shortly after his release from detention camp. The exact time of his death is not known. Yasinjan Memtinen, Uyghur, age unknown, university student. He died in police custody in 2017. Akram Mehmet, Uyghur, around 30, high school teacher. He died in a detention camp in 2019. Tursunjan Sawat, Uyghur, around 40 years old, farmer. He died in a detention camp in early 2017. Kurbanjan Abdukarim, Uyghur, 54 years old, textile trader and factory owner. He died in February 2021, 4 days after his release from detention. Kianjahan Hafiz, Uyghur, age unknown, but has a granddaughter. She died in a detention camp in early 2019. I will now read out the names of loved ones of community members who have been sentenced in Uyghur region. We don't know where they are now. Hassan Jankare, sentenced for 20 years. Mirzan Bakhtan, sentenced for 14 years. Birlesbek Ermekbay, sentenced for 13 years. Ahmedjan Rahimbergen, sentenced for 22 years. Satwaldi Rahimberg, sentenced for 22 years for praying. Hajim Ahad, sentenced for 12 years. Rozahun Ahad, sentenced for 12 years. Ayhan Mehmet, who's Dolpanisa's mother as well. Yalpun Asa, sentenced for 24 years old. He is also Dolpanisa's brother. Nur Mohammed Yusuf, around 50 years old, died in detention in August 2021. Mangsaha Qayyum, who is my grandmother. Rahim Zahir, Rahman Zahir, Abdullah Zahir, Jainam Zahir, Nima Zahir, and their family. This is my family in East Turkestan. I'm desperate to find out about them. Please support my #FarmerFamily campaign. Lastly, we will now observe a minute silence to mourn the victims of the genocide, the death, the missing, and the forcible disappearance. Now, Roshan Abbas, who is the director of Campaign for Uyghurs, will talk.
Thank you all for coming here today and witness this historic day with us. Today, the Uyghur Tribunal delivered a determination that confirmed what we all know to be true, that the Chinese Communist Party is conducting a genocide of the Uyghur people. It's a bittersweet receiving news of the verdict. I have been fighting for my sister, Dr. Gulshan Abbas, for over 3 years now. Today, the tribunal's determination reaffirms the suffering that all Uyghurs have endured, and also it gives the Uyghur people hope. This is a moment in which every Uyghur person can feel a deep sense of validation and the support. But already we can hear the whispers in our own mind, wondering what is to come next. What do we do with this judgment that has been rendered? This is a day of celebration, yes, but it's also a day of reckoning. The CCP can no longer hide behind the cloud of confusion or the ignorance of the world. We have met the burden of proof. Now we must take absolute action against the CCP and their genocidal crimes. The witnesses and experts have done their job, and they have done exceedingly well. Their courage and the support have brought us to this moment today. Now we must ask what others will do. We ask international governments, international leaders, and the international companies, and the intergovernmental bodies what they will do. We ask now that these brave witnesses have came forth and shared their courage with the world. How that the world will honor them. There can be no business with a government engaged in genocide. No Olympics in the government engaging in genocide. And no legitimacy for a government engaged in genocide. We must send the message that they cannot get away with this genocide. And I look forward to doing all we can to ensure that this verdict results in more concrete action around the world. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in the horrible weather. Now our participants again.
Assalamu alaikum. Aldidagi aziz ko'rganlar. Men hozir sizlarga Londondiki xitay elchixanasidan oldin Ahmedamdan bu program taqdim qilyapman aziz qarindoshlar. Bugun mana bu yerda Londondiki xitay elchixanasining oldida bugun xalqaro Uyg'ur sud kollegiyasi tarafidan e'lon qilingan hukmni Xitay elchixanasiga topshirib berish va Xitoydan Uyg'ur irqiy qirg'inchilik darhol to'xtatishni talab qilish maqsadida dunyo va Angliya Uyg'ur jamiyatining arazida namayishi bo'ldi aziz qarindoshlar. Bugun bilasa Uyg'urlar uchun tarixiy bir kun, ahamiyatli bir kun va bugun tushdan burun dunyo huquqining tashabbusi bilan qurilgan Uyg'ur sud kollegiyasi Müstəbət Xitay hakimiyyətinin Şərqistan Uyğurlarının asasıqa yerli xalq parkda yürgüzüvatqan qilmishlərini rasmi yerdə irqiy qirg'inchilik va insoniyatga qarshi jinoyatda hukm chiqardigan rasmiy qonuniy xalqaro qonun asosidagi dalillarga tayanib turib bu Uyg'ur xalqi uchun bir xo'shallik kun bo'ldi. Bu munosabatdan bugun bu marosim o'tkazildi. Ammo Xitoy elchixonasi bu yerda Uyg'ur sud kollegiyasining chiqargan hukmini qabul qilishni rad qildi. Çünkü bu hükümnameni sotun arzdorlarining biri bo'lgan Qozoq lager shoidi Erbaxt efendim bir yerde Dünya Hukukining raisi DUQ hisoblanadigan hamrohligida Xitoy elchixonasiga topshirmoqchi bo'lgan, ammo qabul qilmadi, rad qilmadi, ko'rishni rad qildi aziz qarindoshlar. Bu yerda yağmurga qarmay bu yerda Londonda yashayotgan bir qism Uyg'ur qarindoshlarimiz, Yahudi jamoat, musulmon tashkilotlarining vakillari keldi va ko'rdinglar, bu yerda axborot matbuotlarninki muxbirlar ajanslarniki cho'ng BBC ve başka ajanslarning muxbirlari bunday ko'p. Ben ko'rdinglar, bu yerda namoyishlar bilan nima o'tkazyapti, namoyish asosiyatdan tugidi aziz qarindoshlar. Shuning bilan biz bugungi bu programmamizda bir şeyda oxirlashtiraylik. Ko'ngil qo'yib ko'rganinglar uchun rahmat. Keyin qatimda programma ko'rishga omon bo'lishsa xayr xo'sh.